Monday. So I'm Connie Kercher. I serve as an elite entrepreneur coach. My background in education was the higher ed route. To your point, Melissa, I thought that was going to be the trajectory to the point of my master's was in higher ed administration. And then I was working on my doctorate for organizational leadership as an assistant vice president. And then I said, entrepreneurship is my gig. And so I have a sweet spot for the education route and then have been able to just adapt and be able to be of service to small business owners the last 15 years. And so really for today's topic and, framework, I'm a very much so coach that believes in, we're going to talk some concepts, right? But then we're also going to do some skill development in 23 minutes and 14 seconds, but who's counting? So the two things before we get started is I'm very self-aware that you will be taking a copious amount of notes and I will be moving quickly. Self-awareness check, got it. But my encouragement is that you take about 20 to 30% of what I'm going to cover today in terms of strategy around how are you going to weave in a fulfilling marketing and sales, kind of plan for yourself in 2025, no matter what season of business you're in, or no matter what season of that skill set is. Okay. So that's why we record it. That's why you can watch it 14 more times to let it sink in. So I will give a little share here. Give me a thumbs up when you can see the slideshow full screen. Cool beans. All right. So let's get our time started. So I'm Connie Kercher, like I said. The content for today is really about being honed in for bringing leads to loyalty, right? Without it just being fluffy, like getting some concrete framework in that, and creating a unified sales and marketing strategy. So a little bit about me, so it wasn't double dipping in our time. I've been an entrepreneur coach, again, have grown businesses locally, nationally, and internationally. And I really came through the framework of I want it to be data driven for entrepreneurs. It made me so sad to see all these business owners or franchise owners or, service based or product based business owners not know the research behind the entrepreneurship model. So when is it Alexander that's here from CSU? I'm like, I am so excited that you're going to hear data driven conversation, not just like a TikTok, like go make $1 million on Pinterest, thumbs up. So kudos to you as a higher ed pasty and go Rams and as a CSU Ram. So that's my background. Full time, been on coaching and consulting for 15 years. I'm also a bodybuilder. So, what does that have to do with anything with strategy? I really do believe that you take that mindset of the CEO of yourself and you relate that to your business, to your relationships, to your journey and your health and wellness journey. And so, you just need to know that I'm highly competitive with myself. I always love to see the standard. I love to see data driven decisions, which that all is bodybuilding is. It's just nutrition and a formula of workouts, and then ta-da, you're sprayed beef jerky 3 times a year. It's awesome. And then we live full time in St. Thomas, USVI. So if you could see in my background, we're actually in Compass Point Marina. That's Corey and I and Anthem, the boat behind in that picture. And we've been here for over a year because we are fully nomadic. And so we've made it through this awesome hurricane season untouched, thankfully. And then we'll be heading out to do a couple more islands starting in January. And then every year I do a women's retreat in Mexico to, again, meld the higher level strategic planning that it takes as a CEO. 6 days, 5 nights, super all inclusive. And that's been a passion project of mine, is being able to not just have entry level content, but for that higher level business owner that has had their business for 10 years and wants to, navigate that place. That is like a sweet, sweet spot in my project that I will never not do. It doesn't matter where we go in the world. I'll always be doing the Women's Elite Entrepreneur Retreat every September. So if I serve you well today, there's 3 buckets I want to cover in terms of making this cohesive plan. The first one is a concept, okay, and it's going to be called the alignment advantage. The second outcome for today is going to be a sales and marketing mastery. Like, how do I know I'm doing the thing, Connie? I've never been taught the matrix. I don't have any, cognitive ability to articulate what is my sales strategy, what is my marketing strategy, and how the heck do I even master that? So I'm hoping to give you some checkpoints and some benchmarks for you to even know, like, am I doing the thing or not? And then data driven, welcome, welcome, Professor Connie at your service. I'm going to give you 6 matrices that you need to be following up with, have a dashboard for you to know, like, am I scaling my business the way that is meaningful? Am I utilizing my resources and stewarding, my gifts and talents in terms of how I'm marketing my services or how I'm, following up with folks. Sometimes we don't even know what that data needs to look like. I'm going to give you the 6 that I think would serve you well to track. Does that sound good? So we're going to talk a little conceptual, but I promise you I'm going to give you some skill set development because that's just who I am. So first concept on the table, aka on the boat today, is that businesses, aka yours, that are aligned in having 2 departments, where the sales department, which is you, and your marketing department, which is you, are talking and collaborative and unified, you have a 58 to 60% a higher sales rate, even if you're not on all the platforms, even if you don't have the perfect branding AI message, built out for the next 6 months. When you actually have in your calendar 2 departments working together. So let that pause for a second. The alignment advantage is you recognize that you're at the top of your business model, the CEO. And then you have, and again, we're not talking CFO time, we're not talking, other departments. I'm just for today's training talking about you need to get really clean and go, I've never overseen a sales department before, Connie, and I possibly have never overseen a marketing department. And I definitely have never had them to have a conversation with each other. That's how I love to coach this for us solopreneurs and small business owners. Even if you have a virtual assistant, you have a social media a marketer, that's 10 hours a month, you still need to have a pulse check on what it takes to actually unify those departments. Okay. So again, organizational leadership at its forefront from here. So what you need to know is that this is the soft skills of running these 2 departments that you need to make sure is part of your plan, okay? Your followers, and I don't just mean the ones on social media, I mean the ones that they see you on E2E calls like this. They see you on face-to-face networking. They see you on a podcast. They see you have a, cutesy schmutzy testimonial graphic every Thursday. What they need is 4 things. And when you stop momentum or you get a little finicky in your departments, so when you feel like, I can't do another sales email, Connie, I'm going to get stalkerish. I'm going to go, you come with a stalker free guarantee. What your humans need is trust, stability, compassion, and hope. Okay. So that comes from when you fall off the face of the earth because you're nervous about being too in front of, or you're not, you're like, can I be that direct in what my offerings are? Please, yes. Because if you don't, your followers, whether they're at the beginning of your sales cycle, they're retained in your sales cycle, or they are on their exit strategy to go, I've worked with you. You've been such a wonderful, benefactor to what I'm doing, but I don't know what to do with you next. For them to be a great referral partner, they still need these 4 concepts. They still need to feel this way about you. So that is why we have these 2 departments talking with each other to go, are we in sync so that our followers are feeling this? This is the feeling side of the business model. And that's the only time I'm going to talk about the feelings for today's training, because then we're going to go concrete. So if you've never ran a sales department, screenshot this, take a picture with your phone, or write in the next minute and a half how your sales department should be set up. And I'm going to talk practically. On Tuesday is when I have my sales department, which is me, myself, and I. It's a wonderful 3-party meeting. Okay. I make sure that every Tuesday I'm having conversations and I'm strategizing and I'm actually, setting aside hour and a half to give you a practical time frame where I am responsible for working for Connie to make sure that we have lead qualifications and I'm actually doing outbound prospecting. Like that's part of me being the sales director of the company. I have that cadence every Tuesday. Then our CRM system. I am responsible for, no matter what CRM system we are working, that it's not falling off the radar. I have true emails. I'm making sure that the conversations are updated in my notes section. Like that part of that is not the CEO to be responsible for. It's the sales department lead. Okay. Then I am responsible to make sure that I have a cadence of showing up to networking events, doing sales presentations, making sure that I'm showing up at, summits or vendor events or speaking opportunities. But that's in that department. I have to make sure that I'm staying on top of those. so that I can report up at some point to the CEO. Then the fourth and fifth, non-negotiable. Here's your matrix. Am I running a solid sales department? Is that I am constantly responsible for 5 proposals a month. So do you have a number for you that you know black, white, that whether it be to an organization, a chamber, a reoccurring client, but do you have a proposal development, plan to go? And then I'm always negotiating that. If so-and-so brings me on for a VIP day, I know 3 months down the road, because I can already tell you, in March 2025, I'm going to have 6 proposals that I require my sales department to be out. Maybe not fully solid, but 6 is my cadence for every single month for me to keep the revenue where I want, the top of mind that I want. What is yours? Okay. And then last but not least, I still put it on my sales department hat that I need to make sure that processing happens. I need to make sure that the person got the thing and then it takes them, 2 days to not do the thing. And then you do another 2 days. That all falls on my sales department. So my heart in this is, hopefully, if you've never managed a macro university, right? Not a lot of us have that background, or a macro department. Maybe you were a part of that, right? And especially if we become from education backgrounds, we had so many other support systems doing all of these things. And then we hired ourselves as our own CEOs and we never got trained in this. Today's training's valuable then. Okay. So this is what a sales department is when I talk about that, when I talk about the negotiation, and this is maybe where you need some skill development. Okay. So now, boom, there's your Tuesday. Every Monday is my marketing department person, aka me again. Hi, I'll do my hair like this and I'll be a different person. Okay. So the 5 areas that you need to make sure your marketing, your CMO, your chief marketing operator or officer, aka maybe where you need to be listening to some more trainings like this. Maybe you're doing some more podcasts. Maybe you're reading something or going to another conference, is these 5 areas. You need to have a pulse check to get your, kind of place in the hierarchy to go brand strategy development. Do you know, in terms of the image, in terms of the feel, like, again, like I said, I'm always managing the brand of Connie Kercher. So I always am showing you on, today's training, like behind the scenes, I needed to make sure I was giving you 3 cognitive hooks. I already given you 2. I'll give you the third one right here. I wanted you to remember that I was a highly competitive person with myself and my standards, because that's part of my brand of who I want to attract. That's something that wasn't just flippant in the introduction. Second is, I'm very self-aware of the energy and the pace, because that's a pre-qualifier for my brand, aka the marketing department trained me to make sure I was doing this, to make sure that if people gravitate towards that, they're going to be your kind of people, right? And if people go, not really my style, awesome, I have other, experiences that I can share that might be a better fit for them. And then last but not least, you need to have some type of sound bite. Here is mine. Every single time you think of Connie sitting on your shoulder, big hair, lots of energy, tons of makeup, ready to make sure that you get out of your head onto paper, because completion builds confidence. So I can tell you, I just now placed that cognitive hook. What is yours? Because in 14 days, you're going to see a meme. You're going to think about completion. You're going to think out of your head onto paper, and you might not remember anything else from today. But you need a soundbite that aligns with your brand strategy, and it needs to be infused and directed to go, no matter how you're showing up, you know what that little soundbite is. Okay. I've done that for 15 years and I still have people go, it's Connie and she does the thing, but I have to make sure I'm out of my head onto paper, and completion is confidence. Okay. Kitty can shake her head and be like, yep, that's true. Okay, the 4 other areas you're responsible for is your market research and analysis. So how often, again, on Mondays, I'm looking at, what are the trends in my own, business coaching and entrepreneurship data. And I need to take time to look at, like, what's the pulse check on that? How do I need to start navigating my services or bundles or packages? But we need to be doing some of that research time in that department. Okay. Target audience identification. Again, if you've done the avatar piece, if you've actually leaned in to any, this is kind of my top 20% of my sales funnel, have the departments talk to each other. So I'm always asking my sales department, in 2024, Tell me my top 20% of clients. Like, I want to know, how did I get them? What networking was that from? I'm talking to that department. So as a marketer, then I can go, how much do I want to allocate budget wise to that networking event again, to that speaking engagement again, to that marketing opportunity to do the flyers, do the webinar, do the paid gig? My encouragement is that if you don't have a proposal to you, don't spend the marketing dollars. I have saved tens of thousands of dollars to my own company because I still make myself write a written proposal. We all had to do it back in the old days to go, if I'm going to do a 2,500 sponsorship for this women's summit, here's the outcomes, here's what I'm going to market, and what am I going to campaign around it and execute? Okay. I think we got so loosey-goosey in becoming our own business owners and becoming entrepreneurs that we forgot the undergirdle, the importance of how much it is beauty to have structure and beauty to have departments. Okay. Now, again, I'm giving you the, master's doctoral level of setting up what this could look like for you to be seamless, but you're going to take some nuggets to go, that's true. It's all blended right now, and I'm not able to execute any sales conversations or a marketing, plan that makes sense because they're so, washed out. Okay. So let's make this a little bit more structured. So you know that you've done mastery and you know that you have done marketing mastery if you've hit these three buckets. You have mapped your touch point from awareness to loyalty. Typically, there are 7 touch points in that journey. Okay. Again, I'm a believer in best practices, not this is the exact roadmap to make you $1 million. Never will be my coaching style. But from data and for best practices, there should be an average about 7 touch points that you could clearly articulate after this call, maybe after an hour of digesting all this, that you're like, got it. I got 1 out of 3 to know that I understand my sales department. Second is that you actually know which messaging you do at which purchasing stages. I think we put on a workshop, put on a 6-week course, offer a 3-month program, offer the free consultation, but yet there's nowhere that lives. Just here's the content to know about what it's like to work with me. Here's the benefits of working with me. And here's maybe, best practices to integrate what we just talked about is their 3rd and 4th touch point. Okay. That's a very sustainable business model that you rinse and repeat for the 5 people you work with, the 50 people you work with, the 500 people you work with. Okay. And then last but not least, again, is that tracking mechanism that you actually see where people are engaging. Are they opening up their email sequence to you? Are they engaging with you on social media? Are they showing up to your free webinar? Did they download your freebie? The sweet spot for this, I'm just going to tell you right now, is that if you can engage 3 different channels and you have a Jackie showing up 3 different ways, that's a wonderful time, a trigger for me as the sales mastery to go, I need to check up on Jackie and just see how she is doing, see how I can be of service, how her program is going, how coaching is going, how life is going. When you see ding, 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 it load up for 3, that should be your time to be like, I need to re-engage with that past client or that current client. No one talks about these triggers. We just go, I send an email on Thursday with a cute cat meme and I hope they remember me, right? So that's what I mean by mastery. Now let's go to the marketing mastery. Do you score how you get your leads? Okay. Is it a 1, 2, 3 system in terms of ideal? Is it a 1 through 5 in terms of 1, not ideal? 3, we may have some synergy, I may be a fit, or 5 being, I would pay that person to work with me because it's such a good fit. Okay. What that helps you do as the marketing person is to go, well, that was the campaign that attracted my 5s. That's the campaign that attracted my 1s. Let's not do that again. Or that was the event where I got 16 leads and they all scored when I went to the back office and said, man, it really was not a fruitful use of our time, 4 hours of this, all the prep time. But you've got to start having some frameworks. I don't love a Likert scale that's 1 through 10. It's not a really good decision-making model. But if you could slow down so you could speed up for 2025, maybe it would be fruitful to look at how are you scoring your leads? Okay. Number 3 is, are you tracking your conversion from networking, speaking, and different blitzing campaigns? Okay. And that could be as simple as you just look at all the events you're doing and you actually see there was 3 wonderful conversations that happened. There was 1 virtual introduction that happened from that piece. And I'm not just talking conversion of dollars. Notice that this is in marketing. This is in terms of exposure. The conversion tracking of networking, speaking, marketing campaigns, partnerships, showing up on a podcast. Did I get an increase in engagement on my YouTube channel, on my download pieces? There has to be a why. There has to be a, like, if I'm going to do the 2-day summit, my conversion is going to be, if I'm going to market that and spend the time doing that, 3 fruitful conversations that are going to end up in on my calendar. And what I mean is just having an intentional conversation is what conversion is. I'm a very different coach where I'm not just talking, you need 17 appointments and 14, hard sale appointments. I'm saying an intentional conversation to see if you're a fit. That's how you know that marketing is working. If you aren't getting a cadence of, 3 to 5 a month where all your channels are going, but you are not bringing people to a Zoom call, an intentional call, or a passive webinar, you need to make some shifts in your marketing abilities. Just going to be very honest. Okay. Like, if for 6 months you have been putting out marketing and marketing and marketing, and you have been flyering the city, the states, the world, and you're not converting meaningful conversations, that should be a red flag for your department to go, something's not working. Okay. And then ROI. So everyone would know that in terms of, please be checking quarterly to make sure that, like, I report to Connie, if we spent X amount of dollars every quarter on marketing, on whatever that is, collateral, partnerships, anything, I need to show that I had some validity to the bottom dollar. If we had any other marketing department, we would have to show that. That's why the marketing department exists, is to get new humans to come into the department, to come into the company. But as solopreneurs and business owners, we think marketing is to be like fun and just to be maybe just thought leaders, right? I want you to hone in on that and go, if your style of marketing is going to be education driven, which is all of us, we're all of service in that place. What is it going to look like if you go, however, I enrolled them in our free webinar. However, I was able to have a meaningful conversation with them. And the metaphor I like to think about that is, I'm always casting a garden, right? Like the marketing director hat of Connie is, I am not responsible for capturing each butterfly in 2 conversations and convert. Like, that is going to be too sporadic and too difficult. What if you cultivate your garden and you've got, conversations happening here, exposure happening over here, but you know that all are harvesting some conversation until they're ready to work with you. That's the concept I like to think is my marketing department, me, to master this. I know exactly where I'm building my garden internationally. Okay. Okay. We're going to go a little bit more skill set now. Take an inhale, take an exhale. We're all educators. You're ready to do some information. Okay. What I want you to do, because we've got 10 minutes left, I want you to look at your notes before we get into the skill set portion. And I'm a big believer. You don't take away everything I said. You're going to take away what actually resonated with you. So look at your notes and circle 1 or 2 things that you're like, great, Connie, I'm going to take some action items on it. If you're a big, you need to make that exchange, go rogue and take off your mute button, put it in the chat. But for 1 minute, just decipher and make sense where you're at in your business of where you want to get better and what we just talked about. Then we're going to go into some strategies. Awesome. 30 more seconds. And if you have anything to cross share, please do it. And then we're going to get into some skill sets. All right. So we're moving back to the sales department. Okay. So you're like, all right, sales, little cliff notes right here, Connie. There's 4 ways that you could be setting up your sales campaigns. Okay. Transactional selling, when people come in and they are just honestly trying to, navigate if you're going to be the right fit for them, is that they know what their problem is. Okay, so this is a great way how I qualify people coming in my pipeline. When I meet with a Jennifer, when I meet with a Lizzie, when I meet with somebody and I'm like, cool, these are the 4 areas I need to see where they fit so I can make sure that I can be of service in one of these areas. So she knows what she's needing. She knows the solution. She's just seeing if I'm going to be the right coach. Okay. So when you have people come into that pipeline, be super mindful to go, typically, you just need to get them to work with you on a lower commitment level. Don't try to sell the Cadillac version of your product. Not going to be a good fit because he or she is still navigating to go, maybe this looks like this. Maybe they need to come to your free webinar if they're just still in shopping mode. That's transactional selling. I don't spend 4 hours of follow-ups when in the first 3 minutes I can go, this person's a 4 out of 5 of a proper fit for me. And I know that she's shopping around because she tells me, well, then I'm not going to be like, let me write a customized proposal. There's one gray hair and spend 16 hours seeing it. No, then I'm going to go, hey, I've got this, Monday workshop, super duper. Let me know. Here's my newsletter, once a quarter. Check out my YouTube channel. Let's set up something in 6 weeks. Like, so low commitment level on your end too. Wonderful sales technique. Okay. Second level up is solution selling, where she is aware of her problem, but she doesn't know yet how to solve it. Notice that difference. So you are now selling a solution. Let go of all your services and your packages and your NDAs and all the stuff. The person just needs to sell the sizzle. She just needs to know that here's the solution to what I hear. And when you're in that sales conversation, aka that meaningful conversation, all you say is, here's 2 insights. Write that down. I have converted hundreds of thousands of dollars of coaching that when I'm consulting with somebody and they're coming into my pipeline, I go, awesome. I understand that you're looking for a solution. Here's 2 insights, whether you move forward with me or not. It is gold. That is a wonderful way to say, am I hitting the mark on that or am I not? Because then we can see if that's going to be the right solution. Steal that. Don't leave the call yet because that's pretty good, but there's more to come. All right. Consultative selling. I like it. Nancy's like cracking up. The prospect is aware of her problem, but or need, but doesn't acknowledge the severity, right? This is when they come and they're about to break. They're so sick. They're so under budgeted. They're so stressed out. They're so at their breaking point that this is where I'm like, if you want to work long term, so consultative is honestly you articulating to your prospect to work long term with me, to actually see a change, a transformation. It's going to be higher touch. It's going to be more of your intensity. And you've got to be upfront with that in your sales strategy. I have some people where I'm like, no, we got to do about 20% tweaking their business model XYZ. There's other people where I'm like, it probably is going to take a year for us to build where you want to build a business so that you can sell it. Right? It's our responsibility to put then those individuals in that third bucket and be super transparent that probably a rinky dink 6 weeks with you isn't going to do it. Don't let them buy the rinky dink 6 weeks and that's not going to do it because they're not going to upsell. They're not going to be like, well, that was wonderful. No, they're still in the pit. Be super direct with that if you're in a consultative selling package. Okay. And then provocative. This is where they just came to today's workshop. They didn't even know they need strategic planning. And they're like, I didn't even know that Kitty did that, but I need to work with her. So that's kind of your unicorn. Okay. Or they get an introduction to Greg and they're like, this is amazing. Greg does what? And his personality is great. Let's sit down and have the conversation. The way I categorize that is, okay, that was a provocative, selling moment where they didn't come in any of my channels. It was a one-off piece. I need to make sure that it's a fit. And then they enroll in XYZ. So know that that will happen, but that's not in the typical 1, 2, 3. Okay. Now let's go skill set in the last 5 minutes, y'all, for marketing. Okay. So that's you getting a nice little 4-minute tutorial on sales. Now you're going to go, okay, marketing department. Holy schmoly, Connie, I never know how to get, butts in the seats, or I do a book launch and I get 4.5 books sold. All the things that I'm talking about that it doesn't work. Let me give some framework. Your pre-planning is 33% of your effort, and you're always running 2 marketing campaigns at the same time. It could be to new home buyers. It could be to new moms. It could be to empty nesters. You got to pick a bucket when I say campaign 1, and then another launch to strategic planning, mindset, whatever other program, campaign 2. You're always running 2 campaigns, always, okay? You need to spend 33% of your time getting your pre-work done. Then you actually implement the blitz is 33% of your calendar. So meaning this, for 4 weeks, you're typically pre-planning what all the, who, what, where, when, why, and all the deliverables that need to happen for 2 campaigns. Then you run the 2 campaigns for a 4 to 6 week window. That's where you're actually making the emails happen, making the podcast pieces happen, making the info sessions happening. It's the heaviest lifting of the marketing department. You're exhausted after it, FYI. If everyone's done a marketing blitz at week 5 or 6, you're like, that was a lot. Okay. So you only run these typically 5 times a year. Okay. Then your post splits, the last 33% of the model that no one ever does until they meet me. And I go, it's the non-negotiable when you coach with me. It's your follow-up time. It's your debrief time. It's your realignment time. And it's your everybody that no-showed, but they were quote unquote interested. What do you do with those humans that came through your marketing, exposure? That is how you have to tie up those loose ends. But every time you have an event or every time you do something, it's like, poof, okay, I didn't know what to do with that last bucket of people, and I'm on to the next thing. You are missing 33% of the formula. Okay, so I hope this is concrete. And then here's the timeline. You invite your pre-targeted list. 30% of your effort is that. 30% of your effort is before you ever do the thing, you get a list of 20 to 40 qualified people that you go, I'm doing the workshop, I'm doing XYZ, I'm showing up and selling this retreat before anybody else knows. That's 30% of your heavy lifting. Then in all of your implementation is you spend 30% of your calendar time or efforts at the 6-week mark out, not 6 days to market something, please. Okay, 6 weeks out. Then at 3 weeks out, you do another big campaign, social media wise, email, text campaign. That's 20% of your effort. Then at 2 weeks out, this is where most people make their final decision. I'm going to do the thing or I'm not going to do the thing with you. You do at 10% because those are just quick touch points. Then you have a little bit of time on your calendar, about 5%. And then that close right before you're about to do the thing, last call is 5% your effort. Now, I'm mindful that we've got 3 minutes left. You're going to want to snapshot this and massage this out more, but this helps you get where do I put my resources in time? Okay. So matrix that matter. I told you I would be of service. And the last part of today's deliverable. Here is what your CEO dashboard should be looking at. Even though you have Trello and all of your tax information and all of your, tracking Excel spreadsheets, my encouragement is every month you have a pulse check on here. Your monthly revenue. You should know that every single month, high level, low level, that should feel comfortable and confident. Your total customer count. How many people actually are you of service to, no matter where they're at in their package with you? How many completed orders? Because you're going to want a completion count. You're going to want to be able to articulate that. Conversion. How many have you actually converted? You should know a percentage or your churn rate for that. How many did you outreach? What did you expect Connie Kercher, the sales director, to outreach for that? And then how many marketing touch points did you do every month? Okay. How do you get this information? Again, screenshot is through this negotiation. Is I have a meeting with the departments, again, me, myself, and I, where we talk about the resources for the marketing department and the sales department. How is Connie, the marketing person, going after that blitz? She's exhausted, super duper. How's the sales conversations going, Connie? I'm having a check with her on that. I'm having a check on new opportunities before I approve them. I'm talking about areas that our trends are not working, but I have a formal meeting with myself every month to then do the rest of these pieces, reprioritize where I want Connie, the marketing director, and Connie, the sales director, to go, where she wants some time off. Do you guys ever request time off to your CEO? Welcome. You should start doing it. And then we reallocate our tracking progress goals, and then I'm out for the next month. Okay. So if any of this was of service, and again, we're going to stop the share and we're going to hear your final outcomes. I have 2 virtual strategic planning workshops, right? So that was a bucket for, but here's a holistic way. I have a spot left for Thursday, December 5th, or a spot for Monday, December 16th. 2 hours, we're jamming. I did $100 off. If that's something of service, after we get off this call or just on social media, send me a little message saying strategy, and I will absolutely send you formal information on what it would look like to do some coaching and or to attend one of these workshops to get some meat and potatoes to what we just talked about. Okay. And then, of course, you always can follow me on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and then be able to give feedback on how is it to get that much. I mean, we're all educators in here and value this. I hope that you got some meat and potatoes to talk about how we're creating a unified department, right? Like that's now structure as a solopreneur.